Quick. Advance all your properties. All right, check in. 1, 2. Can you hear me?
Hear me?
No, just a little bit. I'll just probably bump up your volume a little bit. All right, say something.
You hear me good?
Yeah. Just want to blast this out on Twitter again. Oops. All right. So, how you been, man? You there?
Yeah, I'm there. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm doing alright.
Been doing anything? What you been up to lately, as?
Just work, really. Nothing really crazy besides that. Just work. Just see.
Things haven't been too hectic over there since you mostly work at like a call center, right?
Yeah. Right now, nothing really.
Yeah.
Nothing really out of the ordinary. It's just more than anything, people are frustrated with.
Checking. All right. Chat says they can hear you too.
What happened? Oh, me too.
Yeah. Yeah. Just let us know if things need to be adjusted. I can do as much as I can on my end to see if anything works out. But yeah. So I guess for tonight's discussion, we're going to be going into something that's pretty much near and dear to both of us.
Today we're talking
Mecha. Mostly getting how to get into Mecha. Is your mic working all right, or?
Yeah, my mic is good. And I'll speak.
Okay. So
I'm actually gonna probably start buying pieces to see soon.
So I guess we can just kind of preface it. 3 sent me something in the discussion board that I probably want to start off with, mostly with her account of how she started with Mecha.
Right, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just read this here. It was a combination of the various media at the time, Power Rangers, Beast Wars, that had me generally interested in machines as a whole. Being a twin meant sharing a lot of toys with my brothers, so instead of dolls, there was a lot of robots, and I liked that as well. Naturally, all this blew my mind when Gundam Wing dropped in North America. Ironic, given how much I con it today, but Wing was probably my gateway drug. Everything became a contribution after that. Omega Boost, Armor Core, etc. It was comparable to Power Rangers, but the only best part, the Zord combat. But now I don't need my team to fight. So it's just like
peep that Omega Boost.
Yep.
Game was okay. I think it could have been a little better, but it wasn't.
Well, she does kind of throw in the one of the songs. I think the intro song from time to time whenever I'm streaming. But yeah.
But the way I got into Mecha, somebody posted that in the
I posted it in what?
Sorry, I was wondering where that person posted.
Oh, in the discussion board. And also, I think your mic might be cutting in and out, so I guess some things might be missing here and there.
Nah, it's just the fact that I'm using regular headphones on my tablet. That's why I'll just keep closer.
Okay.
Let's see. Somebody in the Twitch chat says I'm about Gundam Air. Well, are you talking about anime or are you talking about Extreme Versus?
He's mostly talking about Extreme Versus.
Just gonna warn you right now. Gonna be running into veterans. Expect to lose a lot.
Yep.
So I'm gonna say right now, if you're frustrated with fighting games, and take this as a warning from experience. EX Versus was designed by people, if I'm not mistaken, who worked on fighting games. So bear that in mind. Okay.
Oh,
I mean, as far as the Gundam series, don't just watch Gundam. Give other mecha a chance. You may find something that you'll like. For example, Macross, various super robot shows, etc. You never know where you'll find what you're looking for.
And that's the one thing we're probably going to be talking about a lot of too. The different like subgenres of mecha and how people can probably get into that, because I guess the one thing that we can probably establish, it's easier to like introduce someone into an established series rather than like one-offs here and there, or like you can probably introduce someone to Gundam a lot easier than say like the Brave series or Mazinger. So it might have some extra set of challenges when it comes down to it.
I mean, I'm old as shit. The way I got into it, probably Zoids count.
Yeah, Zoids does count as mecha.
I think a better question is what people consider powered armor.
Powered armors that can kind of dance in between like mecha and some other genre, but it really depends
Sci-fi.
on which way they go with it. Yeah, sci-fi usually. I think one good one might be like Blue Gender, since it does deal with like powered suits rather than full-blown mecha. But there's like a lot of other things that can have like different approaches that don't really fall into the mold per se, but at the same time it kind of gives a fresh take on the genre as a whole.
If anything, if you do want to give Gundam a go, by all means, I think you should probably. Well, do you watch anime a lot for that matter?
Do you watch a lot of anime, Lagoon? Because I know he does like watch a lot of Cowboy Bebop and a few other things. I probably forgot.
Did you say Cowboy Bebop?
Yeah.
Well, if you watch Cowboy Bebop, then if you like the people that did the work on that show, then definitely check out Macross Plus. Macross Plus was made by mostly the same people.
Mm. I kind of fell off with anime a bit. What kind of made you fall off from it in general? Is it mostly like the overly fan service stuff, or something that doesn't really catch your attention as much compared to like some of the older stuff that probably pioneered it.
Or the easy answer, life.
Yeah, that too. Like, life has been kind of bodying me for the moment. It made me kind of not watch a whole lot of anime as much as I used to. And I
That's what kind of
guess,
happens when you get older.
yeah. And I was kind of in the middle of watching Gear Fighter Dendo. So that's been on the back burner for a lot of other things. So I guess let's try to get back on track on the initial topic. But let me close the door real quick. Alrighty.
I mean, I'm pretty old. What got me into Mecha was actually not even Mecha itself. To an extent. It was more of a combination of some and, but I believe first thing with Mecha in was most certainly Voltron.
Voltron.
Yep. Voltron was probably the first continue with sci-fi things. I actually didn't even watch Voltron like that because when I was a kid, when they actually showed Voltron, it was way too early to show. But if it's one thing that I really enjoyed from Voltron, even if I don't remember that many, I don't know if the theme was different in Japan, but the main theme, the American version, really good. That's just a really good theme. That's something that I've always associated with Mecha. Like it tends to have like a particular stuff that involves super robots. It's having like a really good like heroic theme. Like those are definitely a must-have for me. Like it needs to have a good theme, and at least American Voltron theme was very good. I prefer the Five Lion version, not the car one. The car one always struck me as really, really way too many pilots. Although now that I think about it, if the car version of Voltron were in Super Robot Wars, it would be way overpowered because you'd have so many pilot skills at your disposal.
Yeah, sort of like how Combattler V or Voltus V had like 5 pilots you could access different spirits with in A Portable. Exactly. So yeah,
that would be it'd be pretty silly.
But it's been done before.
Oh no, that's fine. It's just that it's silly. But no, for me, definitely Voltron was an influence. That's definitely the first mecha. Afterwards, it's kind of funny now that I think of most of my early influence, super, or at least what I consider a super robot. After that, would then be sci-fi. So, be things like Star Generation. That's a big original space battleship. I didn't watch the.
Yeah, kind of in and out.
Oh, sorry. My bad. A bit better now?
A little bit. We'll probably see how long it keeps up.
No, it might be my microphone. It is probably. But for me, it was definitely like some sci-fi shows, like Star Trek got me into it. Got me into that sort of thing. Because I consider Mecha to be mostly sci-fi.
Right.
So things like Star Trek, especially The Next Generation, was very big for me. Not so much Star Wars. And then I mentioned Space Battleship Yamato. I did I didn't have the anime. I should probably like watch that. I actually have the DVD somewhere of the original American version, but I do have one of the comics, which is kind of like one of those comics where they kind of just took the animation and cut it into pieces and stuff. That's what I had. I had one of those. What else?
Where does My Life as a Teenage Robot fall under?
Then after that, you can definitely. I would definitely say Mega Man was a big influence.
Yeah, yeah, you can keep
The whole
going.
robot thing, the robot shtick there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe RoboCop to an extent, because again, sci-fi / robotics. Once. Yeah, definitely Mega Man. Then after that, you can add Power Rangers, which is kind of weird. The Sentai thing kind of helped a little bit too, in that regard.
Yeah.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers was a bit of an influence. VR Troopers. I remember they tried to have Ultraman in America. I only remember it having 2 episodes, which was really, really strange. And it's funny because the 2 episodes I saw, Ultraman wins in one of them, but then in the second one he gets defeated, and then I never saw another episode again on TV for some reason. It was weird.
Yeah, I think I remember like seeing it on like Fox Kids at some point, but after a while it just disappeared.
Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad also was a bit of an. I know people may give it a hard time, but I'm just gonna go ahead and remind you that Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad is canon because that's what the 4 S's before Gridman stand for. So if anybody out there actually hates Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, eat a dick.
Like even in the anime, it just references to a lot of the S4 pretty much.
But that was definitely a bit of an influence. And then I'm gonna have to go with what's mentioned in the channel. I'll have to agree. Was it? Or is it? Give me a second.
Okay.
Robotech. Even though I prefer Macross, Robotech was still a big influence. I'm not gonna deny that. I do hate Harmony Gold is on my bad side.
Yep.
But I'm not gonna deny that Robotech was a big influence, specifically the Macross portion. I didn't really watch the Mospera and Southern Cross portion much. It was mainly Robotech that really had me going, because since I enjoyed Top Gun so much, of course the F-14 Tomcat, and then how the VF-1 Valkyries, resemble it, that was a big influence. Gundam Wing helped a little bit. I don't think Gundam Wing was that huge of an influence for me, because by that point I was already getting into mech. With things like Macross. Macross was a much bigger influence to me than Gundam Wing. I'm gonna be right out and say it. Around that time is also when I was introduced to BattleTech or Mech Warrior.
Yeah.
Although I did an Exo Squad, which some people may probably don't know about. That being said, I found myself preferring more on the agility side. I didn't really like the bulkiness of the mechs in Warrior. Don't get me wrong, I do like the Awesome, I do like the Axeman. But I kind of preferred the more agile stuff, so that was something that Robotech definitely did influence me on. Same thing with Wing to an extent. But then Armored Core dropped.
And we know how that went.
Because around there, that's when the PS1 came out. And, ooh boy. Once that happened, then that's when it really picked up.
Yep.
Personally. Somebody had told me about the game. Mind you, I had also liked playing shoot 'em ups around that time, so games like Gradius, R-Type, those are another thing that kind of helped out. Same thing, the sci-fi. Before I talk into Armored Core, I also do have to mention one of it. Even though when I was a kid, I didn't really play that game much, but I was aware of it. Well, once I got my hands on emulators. and that is Fantasy Star. I did like how it mixed both fantasy, sci-fi, because I think it's kind of hard for you to like sci-fi slash mecha and not also have an appreciation for the fantasy genre. Like I think it's impossible personally. So around that time, I was playing Final Fantasy 2, 4, Mystic Quest, Chrono Trigger, which had a little bit of robots in it. Robo was one of the characters. Technology was introduced in the far future. Then you have A3, A6, the Magitech armor. That was another big influence. Shout out to having more weapons and uses with her Magitech armor compared to everybody. But yeah, Armored Core probably the biggest influence out of everything is definitely Voltron, thanks to the music, thanks to the theme. But that would be the main influences are going to be tied for first, and that would be Macro Core. Although if I had to pick one, it would definitely be the main influence, because everything else up until that point was really preset. Even if main characters have own slight differences with their leadership color. Everybody knows which one's Skull Leader, because that one's gonna be a VF1 with yellow and the skull, like the real life Skull Squad.
Right.
Hikaru, who had red, and then you have Max, who had blue. Things like that. But Armored Core really gave you that personalization. And yes, I'm old as shit, but I'm an ancient witch. But Armored Core really set it off. I have no idea. I don't know how that game even got over here. I always felt that Mecha was a hard sell in the West, but I remember somebody mentioning to me in high school, and then lo and behold, everything happens for a reason. I went to a buy and sell shop, and they had a copy of Armored Core there for a discount. Picked it up. It's yeah, that game definitely blew my mind because of what you can do in the game. And how you can really just personalize a robot to be, a suit to be exactly to be, everything as far as its parts, its weapon, color scheme, the patches, you name it, all that good stuff. So it was just really on a whole other level.
It's like you're pretty much there itself.
I mean, that one was really the starting point. It's also the fact that the game had a couple of different sort of kind of endings. And then there's also the fact that you could fail certain missions, but then once you got far enough in the game, you couldn't fail. If you fail a certain mission once you get to a certain point in Armored Core 1, depending on which faction you were helping more, that was the faction that ended up, more or less taking over. And then when you did that, it would culminate, of course, with you going out. And it's funny because in the original Armored Core, you have the Raven rankings. 9-Ball's always number 1.
Right.
You can pass everybody else in the ranking missions. But if you beat the game and you don't kill 9-Ball, because you actually don't have to, you can fly right past. I thought you had to beat him in the original Core. You can actually just ignore him and run past him. If you ignore him and run past him and complete the mission, then you beat the game, etc. But he's always going to be number 1. You have to kill him, and then when you kill him, he obviously gets scratched off the rankings, and then you're then you're the number 1. Now, it took me a while actually to beat the game fair, because You played the first Armored Core,
No.
Blue? So I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but there was actually a cheat to get the full benefits.
The Human Plus one, right?
Yeah, give me 1 second. I think I need the for people who never played the original Armored Core. You need to see that. You need to see that scene. It's pretty. It's in my opinion, it was actually pretty iconic.
Okay, I'll probably pull it up on my end. Let's get this going.
Nah, I got you. I'm gonna link it in.
Is this the subject for our next experiment? Yes. His papers say he was a raven. Ah, so he took the usual route here. Seems to have piled up quite a debt. Must have had his dreams. But he will be born in this experiment. That is, if he lives. You have a point there. Let's get started.
So you actually have to see that scene. You actually would have to know it's not a cheat code input. I'll explain, Lagoon. So here's the thing, right? So the way it works with Human Plus or Option Intensify in later games, when you are playing in the game, right, when you're playing Armored Core, you have costs to cover. So after your mission is completed, you know, your suit has to get repaired, you have to replenish costs, which is why energy weapons, because energy weapons didn't cost anything. So energy weapons did help you, you know, cut costs, but you had to replenish your ammo, you had to repair your suit. If you had to protect a target or targets, if those were damaged, then they cut from your pay too. So sometimes you can have a net loss in some missions. And early in the game, if you fail, then you'll be a debt. So the way Human Plus activates is repeatedly fail missions and lose money until you get to, I think, 50k or 60k in debt, and then that'll trigger the cutscene, and then you'll start the game over as if nothing happened. However, your name will change. So instead of it being whatever name you have, it'll be Rebel and then a couple of, and you can't change it. So if you had a name and you have whatever it is that's your name, you can change it. So if you had like a pretty edgy name, you can just change it to your real name or whatever you wanted. But once you went Rebel, then you're gonna have Rebel for random numbers. So that was another way of obviously telling people, hey, this person's obviously using Human Plus. Granted, the benefits that the game gave you made it obvious. So you have to do it, I think it was 5 or 6 times to get all the benefits. Mm-hmm. The first benefit you get is you get a free radar. So in the Armored Core games, there was 2 ways to have a radar. If your suit's head had a radar built in, or if you had a radar on. Now, there were clear differences. A radar that's on your back tends to have more range and is constantly refreshing. So you'll see people move in real time. The radars that your head has, those are merely for guidance, suggestion. The fast-moving suit is going to be blipping point A to point B pretty fast. So those are delayed. Mm-hmm. Some were better than others, but some were better, and they also didn't have as much range. Now, further still, and this is something that made the game more picky, is you know how like in games, like let's say for example Doom,
yeah,
when you traverse areas, you have a mini map you can access.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have that unless you have. So some heads, they would have different things besides their obvious looks, besides their obvious resistances, and their armor and their energy consumption. They would also have they would always have a female voice in Armored Core first gen. From second generation and on, some of them would have male voices, but there were also other things. Some of them would have a biosensor. Some would have some would have a biosensor. Some would have a map built in. In other words, it records where you've traversed.
Mm-hmm.
So if it does have that, it'll say that it's detailed. So that means every place you've been to, it'll have. But some don't. Some will only have the immediate area that when you leave the room, your head forgets it was even. So for some of the more sprawling and complicated areas, you can get lost, and that would actually be that can be fatal in one of the missions that I'll explain later. That was the most fun for me. So the heads was a very important choice because there were bio enemies that you have to fight later, and if you don't have a biosensor, you can't lock onto them. No big deal, just use a blade, you're fine. But that's besides the point. Now, back to Human Plus. The Human Plus, or the Rebel Enhancement, the Rebel Enhancements was on your first death, you get a free radar. On the first reset, you get a radar. It's basically a free head radar, so it doesn't matter. I don't remember if it gave you detailed map, but I know it gave you a radar. From there, you have the next enhancement was, I believe the next enhancement was being able to throw your laser blade. So when you have your laser blade, when you swing, there's a clear timing, right? So right when your character your robot clearly brings up the arm and then swings, right? So just when the swing is about to begin, you hit the jump button. And when you hit the jump button, if you time it properly, you'll throw your blade out. Now, that was actually really good because it gave you a projectile weapon, a bonus projectile weapon, but it actually had a secret bonus to it. Both the laser blade and the thrown laser would hit. So if you're in close range, you'll get some serious damage. And God help you if the moonlight. So the moonlight, quick note, the moonlight is a weapon that's always been from software games. It's been in Armored Core, it's been in Dark Souls. It has a special property versus a certain boss in Dark Souls 1. I believe it's in Kingsfield. I believe it's been in every single From Software. But the moonlight was broken as hell in this game. Another benefit you get was extra. I believe your boost energy was doubled. So like that was pretty significant. And then the last but not least was the biggest buff, in my opinion, and that is being able to use back weapons without having to take a chance. So back weapons could be anything from rockets to missiles, chain gun, grenade launcher, etc., etc. And there were four leg tips in so bipeds, reverse joints, quad legs, and then tank. So biped and reverse joints were not able to use weapons like the chain gun or the grenade launcher without having to take a chance. Or in the case of the the reverse joints, a stationary stance. So obviously that leaves you wide open. Quad legs can fire them while moving. Tanks can use them while flying. So those are the benefits of running tank / running quad leg. It basically made bipeds / reverse joints much better, particularly bipeds because most people preferred bipeds. But yeah, like I could talk forever about Armored Core if I'm being honest. But it's just the fact that the game was so deep that really got me into the genre. Just the fact that there were so many different things for you to take in. And then how you would influence the game's events, depending on what missions you were choosing. You know, there's a certain point where in all the games this tends to happen, where there's at least one or two missions where you're offered two missions, and both of the missions are literally you picking a side. Did anyone here play Last Raven?
Doubt it.
Armored Core Last Raven really solidified the brutality of the genre. Storytelling. Even if everyone will tell you Silent Line is the best one, but Last Raven was hard. Last Raven was definitely one of the hardest in the franchise. Excuse me. The reason being is because in Last Raven, what's going on is the corporations combine, and they're basically going to take over. A couple of ravens break away because ravens are always hired by the corporations, and they decide that they're going to do their own thing. So this is gonna escalate into eventual combat, And those ravens that are linked up, they basically declare that in 24 hours they're going to launch an assault on operations. So before those 24 hours, you are doing missions. Your character and several others are still doing the normal raven thing. Your characters are undecided. There's a bunch of ravens that are doing their own thing, that are forming a union. Then there's the corporations, and then there's you and a bunch of other people that are stuck in the middle. So, every time you do a mission, how can I tell you? Every time you do a mission, the timer goes. And more often than not, during these missions, another raven is attacking. So while all of this is going on, the corporations are putting out hit lists on certain things. There's other missions going on where you're trying to do certain things and certain actions. The raven group is hiring you, the corporation is hiring you, and all the while people are getting in the way. But not only that, but your parts can be damaged. Your head can be broken, your legs can be crippled, arms can be blown off, your weapons can be destroyed. So that adds a factor of randomness to it, where certain powerful weapons just break your parts, and that just throws a monkey wrench. So you have to manage your suit taking damage, your parts becoming damaged, your weapons being blown off, and then there's the fact that it's very likely that during or after your objective has been met, a fucking raven is going to come out of nowhere and be like, "Hey, what's up? I'm here to kill you." And this isn't like the other Armored Cores, where sometimes you can fail a mission, and okay, the story progresses, culminating in the later Armored Core game, later in the story, where now it's to the point where you cannot fail, where it's canonically where you can't fail this mission, because if you fail, you're basically dying. Right. No, in this game, if you fail your mission, you die. You lose control of your robot for a couple of seconds, and then instead of the usual kneeling animation that your suit takes when it's been disabled, no, you blow up. You're dead. And then from there, your only option is to either reload your game and try again, or start over, having kept your progress.
Wow, that's pretty hardcore.
So, like I said, a lot of people, myself included to a point, was a little frustrated because, like I said, the game, I want to be clear, Last Raven was not easy. Last Raven was definitely one of the harder entries because the game threw you in like raw. It was not as raw as Nexus. No, excuse me, Nexus wasn't as raw. It's funny because even in Armored Core 1, the game kind of throws you in raw. In Armored Core 1, is basically that your character wants to be a Raven, and basically, in order for you to be accepted, they put you into a default suit, and they have you do practice. So you have to fight two robots.
Right.
Anybody can do that. It's not hard to do. But Last Raven was a game that was not made to welcome a new. That game was made specifically for people who've played the game, who've been part of the franchise. And to basically finalize that, and that's how it went. The game was pretty brutal, and the overworld theme, if you will, would always change as the countdown continues, getting to the end. Let me put a bit of music that I place here. Actually, it's going to be in the podcast chat.
Okay.
So this is the first theme that actually plays. This is the first theme. I don't think it doesn't have all of them on YouTube for some reason. Some of them are fortunate, but this is I believe that's the. Yeah, that's the first one. That one should be the game. That's the first theme that. Yeah, that's the first theme that plays.
Yeah, it would be a freaking nightmare for modern day games journals. It would probably filter out everybody that's not initiated with I'm gonna be honest with you, Lagoon.
Today's journalists, they would hate our. Armored Blood. They would hate Armored Core, especially Last Wave. The game that they would enjoy the most out of the Armored Core franchise is possibly Ninebreaker. Ninebreaker was basically just training missions. Ninebreaker was basically just training missions. They would not enjoy Nexus. They would not enjoy. Honestly, beginners would not enjoy Nexus. Beginners would not enjoy Last Raven. The best game in the franchise is Silent Line, Armored Core 3 Silent Line, which is a follow-up to Armored Core 3. But I think if I were to introduce a player to Armored Core, I would probably introduce them either to Part 2, or I would introduce them to maybe Armored Core 4, because even though 4 is very fast in movement, I feel like it's very safe as far as you being able to keep yourself up. Armored Core has a lot of good music, by the way, in case you're wondering.
Yep.
Lagoon, actually, hold on. What the hell is wrong with me? How am I not playing this music when we're talking about Armored Core? Give me a second.
Okay. Do you have any?
No, there's one track that we have to play above all.
Oh yeah.
There's one track we have to play above all, because if I don't play this, then I'm doing a disservice to Armored Core fans everywhere. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So, and I'm gonna give you the extended version, Blue, because of the fact that this is probably gonna stay on the whole time. I'll also recommend you some other music that you should listen to, Lagoon, from the game, because it's kind of required, in my opinion, required listening. But this is the theme that everybody who played Armored Core First Generation knows by heart. Everyone knows this song.
All right, let me pull it up. Oh yeah, this is gonna be playing in the background for quite some time. Might even have it looped too. Like every now and then I do play that Anniversary Collection soundtrack, which has like a bunch of the Armored Core series soundtracks from like the first game all the way to like even something like the derivatives and remixes here and there.
Yeah.
Just okay, so we can keep things going.
So yeah, like I said, after Armored Core, for me, influences would definitely be I mean, Armored Core was honestly, I'm gonna have to say it. Like I said, I love Macross, but no, Armored Core is without a doubt the biggest. I can honestly go on for days, non-stop, talking about how much of a big deal, both in, like, and I'm talking like through each of the games. Like, I'm gonna mention one of the most interesting missions in the original Armored Core. This is one of those missions where you cannot fail. If you fail this mission, post game completion, then you die. So in this mission, you have to go into a station. Now this station is full of corridors and doors. What you're supposed to do is you're supposed to plant bombs, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what happens is you have to go into these areas and you have to plant bombs. Now here's the thing. If you have a head that doesn't have a map, that doesn't have like storage of where you are, you're fucked. Because a lot of the area looks the same, like a facility would. Not only that, but you would also likely want to have a biosensor, because there's those bioroid in. Now, let's up the ante. 3 things are going on here that you need. You need a map. You need a helmet that can save your map. You need a biosensor, unless you want to go with a speedy, unless you want to do what I would use for that mission instead. And then you want to be fast, because in this area, when you step in, there's some sort of acid in the air, so your suit is constantly losing it while you're in there. So The easiest way to do this would be to build a fast moving suit with just a laser blade. That's all you need. All you honestly need is a laser. You grab a laser blade, you grab a really, really speedy suit. You make it as tough as humanly possible, and then you just run through the area, planting your bombs as you need to. And once you finish planting the bombs, then you leave. Once you leave outside of the station, then that triggers a cutscene, and you complete the mission. So that was one of the most unique missions in the game to me. Another one that was actually very unique is when you have to defeat the remnant of Chrome. So when you have to defeat the remnants of Chrome, they're basically mentioning, hey, we're going to drop you in, you're going to go ahead, you're going to clean house. You go in, no one's there. You go down, I think, three floors, 3 basements, nothing. And then your operator's like, well, I guess they're not here. Well, okay, you can screw it, come back up, let's get out of here. You start going up, and now these bad guys show up, and now you got to defend yourself. And then after you finish defending yourself, and that you get out, there's this really, really big robot that's coming after you, trying to kill you. That one, so it was a pretty crazy boss fight at the end of it. That one was pretty interesting. Not to just gush on Armored Core 1, I'll also mention one of the most iconic bosses, even if it's easy, in my opinion. One of the most iconic bosses in Armored Core history is from Armored Core 4 Answer, and that is when you fight the Spirit of Motherwill.
Oh yeah.
So the Spirit of Motherwill is gigantic. And while it was ultimately too easy, the entire concept of this battle is cool as fuck. You're basically fighting a gigantic 4-legged robot that has aircraft carriers, basically. So this thing is literally a walking army. It's got these gigantic ass cannons that if they hit you, you're getting chunked. It's got a bunch of turrets everywhere. It's basically a combination of a bunch of motherships. It's crazy. It's huge. It's impressive. It's a cool design. Out of all the arms forts that you fight in Armored Core 4 Answer, none of them hold the candle in design to Spirit of Motherwill. And it's pretty cool when you take it down. It's very satisfying to take it down. Like, yeah. It's still a little easy. It's still a little easy for me, but ultimately it's still a pretty cool design. Yeah, the music that you hear, the music that plays while you're fighting it is also really cool. Mm-hmm. It's just a really cool fight.
And I also like to add that it kind of gives you like that David and Goliath feel because of how massive the arms forts are, and the Spirit of Motherwill is like a giant walking fortress just waiting to be taken down. So you can pretty much go at it at any way you want and just still have some serious fun with it.
Yeah, that one's just really it's just a really cool design.
And I guess we could probably give it a little bit more time before. Well, I probably should have given my what got me into Mecha as well. And I guess I also have another guest that might be coming on a little bit soon.
Alright, so let me just stop running my mouth. Let me stop gushing on Armored Core and mention the other influences for me. Another big influence for me, like I said, I started with supers, but I feel that my main calling was real robots. Mm-hmm. So my main influences are definitely going to be Armored Core for sure, Macross, Gundam War in the Pocket is without a shadow of a doubt my favorite Gundam story. Free, like no question, that's my favorite one. Zone of Enders had some very cool designs. I do like the designs in I thought Custom Robo was very cool. It's unfortunate that people didn't get to play Custom Robo. I would love it if more people would play that game. The GameCube version was so much fun. The DS version was so much fun. Like it's a fun game. It's easy to be cheap in those games, but it's so much fun. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's like I said, I can go on for days. And then there's also Another Century's episode, and of course Super Robot Wars without a shadow of a doubt also has to get mentioned. Mecha's great.
Yeah, it is.
I really hope that more people give it a chance. Right now, there's not really much going on, but I really sincerely hope that we do get a re-release of the Armored Core games. There's just so much fucking music in those games. There's so much gameplay. They're just fun. Some of the stages are really, really easy, so the journalists won't have a hard time with them. But then when the game does decide to turn up difficulty, the stakes are clearly raised. The story is basic in general, or general destruction thing, post-apocalyptic and everything, but it's fine. That's not even what you're going to be mostly focused on. It's the fact that you're going to be spending more than 80% of the time that you're going to be playing the game, you're going to be listening to Memory Shape Out. Let me just be real. You're going to be listening to Memory Shape Out.
I mean, that's the amount of time they're going to be spending in the customization. You might as well be.
Yeah.
Also,
it's just, yeah.
I got I got our guest here, Blaze Strife. You say you've been like interested in dabbling into the genre itself.
Hang on, I gotta fucking do something real.
Okay. So I guess I can take my turn and talk about how I got into Mecha.
Let me post one more piece of music if you don't mind,
okay,
so that Lagoon can be convinced also.
The 20-foot tall robot is PTX-40A from Lost Planet. That's a game that's also kind of near and dear to my heart, and that's one of the things that kind of solidified my interest in Mecha. But part and parcel, I would say the main thing that got me into the genre, like before I even knew what the genre was and it's gonna sound weird, but Gigantor.
No, that's not bad.
Yeah, Gigantor.
Classic.
Because I remember watching it like when I was younger, say when I was around it aired on Cartoon Network right after Adult Swim ended, like around like 5:30, 6 in the morning. Right before school, I just watched a lot of it, and then after that, it kind of boiled down to like some of the science fiction stuff, Star Wars. What else? Starship Troopers.
Starship.
And a few other things here and there that kind of added to my personal lexicon of the genre itself. I guess by the time that I was getting more and more situated with watching a lot of TV itself, I came across like Gundam, mostly Gundam Wing or G Gundam, which is still like one of my all-time memorable series in general. Zoids was also a thing, Metabots. So I've been kind of dabbling around with that particular genre for most of my childhood, really. And then Mega Man X kind of comes in as well.
Absolutely.
Like everything about the aesthetics of it, just
how much of a Mega Man fan I am.
Oh yeah, I played like even 6, X6, and I didn't care if it was good or bad. It was just another X game to me. But I guess after a while, it just dawned on me that it was kind of compared to X5, it was a cash grab. It barely had any substance compared to X5.
Well, here's the funny thing. Oh, by the way, I put another music on chat for you.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken, Mega Man X5 and Mega Man X6 came out in the same year.
Yeah. So I guess that's why a few things feel a little bit rushed, even with like one of the bosses, which was pretty much a mini boss, had like final boss level health for some odd reason.
By the way, Lagoon, just so you know, the name of the music playing right now is from Armored Core for Answer. It's called Someone Is Always Moving on the Surface.
And as for like Generator Rex,
I remember Generator Rex.
I don't really remember much about it, other than the fact that it had, I think it did have robots, but it was mostly the person having the ability to transform his arm into a certain kind of weapon. I just don't exactly remember the clear details.
That's basically that's the gist of it, was that he could transform his arms into different things.
Oh, I know me.
X6 came out in 2002. Okay, and continuing on. Further down the line, I mostly got into... Lost Planet was one of those games where it was like one of my first.
Lost Planet lets you. Lost Planet 2 let me carry a power bunker. I love it.
Yeah. And with certain suits in Lost Planet 2, I know it's like there's two particular VSs that utilize it the most. I think it's the Bleed and the Baylid that use the power bunker with an actual arm.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the laser blades and I forgot what other weapon. But Lost Planet in general, just from the story was alright, is decent, but the mecha designs were something that really caught my attention a lot. Like I could, even though it's like in a way you kind of see how they kind of experiment with different designs and different philosophies of how each VS moves and functions. Some of them are like more standard fare, like the GAT-10X. It's just a simple bipedal bipedal variable suit that has like a frontal shield, or if used by like the space pirates, that has little to no shielding whatsoever. They just kind of wing it, and you kind of see the discrepancies between like the space pirates and the colonizers, and even the Neo Venus Construction Agency, the supposed bad guys in the series. I say supposed because something does happen in Lost Planet 2 where it kind of changes how things were interpreted. But that was another series that was kind of near and dear, that I grew fond of and ultimately enjoyed it. And we're probably not going to get another game like that soon. Not even like X Troopers. And
like I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Lost Planet 2 wasn't received very well.
No,
but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was mainstream. It was considered a black sheep, but if you talk to anybody else about like Lost Planet 2, they would tell you that it was the funnest game that they've ever played, even though it was not all that great.
The game had its flaws, but for what it was as a time killer, it was a great game.
Yeah, I even enjoyed it.
It was a co-op time.
Yeah,
and it did its job.
I enjoyed a bit of the multiplayer as well. There were, granted, a few broken weapons here and there, like the Energy Gun 2, which was like the Maho Shoujo weapon, where it just shot like hearts and pink shit. But it stunned you. It stunned you.
Hold on.
What?
How can I mention Mecha games? And I forgot to mention another influence, Virtualon.
Oh yes. That man, Virtualon itself was also another thing that kind of got me into Mecha and also into like arcade games too. I remember playing that religiously at an old arcade of mine near that was close to home, but it got shut down after a while.
A friend of mine had an old GameCube game. I don't know if I've talked to you with you, Blue, but my friend had on GameCube Custom Robo.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Custom Robo was great.
Dude, yes. It was a great little like game concept, because it's like you have this mental arena you fight in, and then you have these little warriors, little cubes you can customize and have in your pocket. You can just fight with them at any time.
Virtual Oratorio Tangram had a pretty interesting intro on the Dreamcast, by the way. I want to post it.
Yeah, I'll bring that up. Because that's
Virtualon is the precursor to... You have... If I were to make a direct comparison, EX Versus is Marvel vs. Capcom. And Virtualon would be like classic Street Fighter. not to say that it's not without its depth. It's definitely full. But yeah, the intro was pretty. I thought it.
Yeah, like, this is the first time I've ever seen this kind of intro, to be quite honest. Because the only time I played Oratorio Tangram was just on an arcade cabinet, so it was just mainly the attract rather than the main intro.
I just thought it was cool how in Virtual Launch, the Virtual Launcher had Sega Saturn's on the back, and then in Oratorio Tangram had Dreamcast under.
In OT, one unit actually still has the Sega Saturn. It's the mass production version of the Temjin. The 1080, it's called.
The other thing I like too about this game, for example, like you see there, you have the beam sword, the beam rifle, where you have the normal shots, but then if you hold boost, you hold left boost. If you hold left boost and then press fire for the beam, you'll see him open the beam sword up, revealing that crystal that you see there. And then you'll fire like a really strong beam. And you'll fire like a much stronger beam.
Yep, and actually playing this game, it is very technical. Very technical, because there's like different states that you have to keep in mind, whether it's like crouching or just left turn or right turn or left turbo and right turbo.
And then there's also the fact that you can, in Virtual Auditory Tank, also some weapons, some shots can bounce off of you in order to break the. If you did a left boost plus shot or hits, or the one that break their, like for example, left boost and fire for Temjin, we shoot the big right one. He'll take a shooting stance, small little shots that you really see, pretty accurate, and they would also wipe the special.
Yeah, Mike's cutting back out again.
But there's a lot of influences for me. I was a big fan of the Temjin. The Temjin was my main suit, of course. That and specifically Force 7J/C. But then I also did the for the game was fun. Interesting note, in the original Virtual Launch, when you were playing arcade mode, you want to finish the first half of the game as fast as possible. The ground stage, there's ground stages and there's space stages. I play my music Virtual Launch. If you did it fast enough, then you go into space. But if you're too slow, you have to do the penalty stage. Then you have to fight Jaguarandi. Jaguarandi is for the casual player. Jaguarandi on the first go possible, because he takes reduced damage. He's freaking huge. He hits like a truck, and then every time you continue, he gets a bit smaller, and you can hurt him more. But he still hits fuck all hard.
Yeah.
Let me think. What theme should I put here? I do like the one for. You know what? I'm gonna, instead of playing my favorite one, the one that I think sounds pretty cool. In a second.
Okay. Anything you want to add into Blaze, or? I guess I can keep going. So, I guess one of the few things that I did kind of mention in the previous discussion stream was the three. Well, I guess we can probably get to that point once we start talking about like the best ways to get like other people into Mecha, because there are like some situations where it's either a hard sell, or depending on how it's kind of given to some people, they might not be as interested in it. But I
Put
feel
that
like
one on, by the way, Blue. This is a banger.
okay. Yes.
Yeah, this is such a good fucking.
So what would you say would be the proper way of getting people into the genre?
Honestly, having discussions like we're doing right now. I think a good way. And by the way, somebody mentioned Tatsunoko versus Capcom. Shout outs to Kashan and Tekkaman Blade. By the way, Tekkaman Blade, even if the was kind of a lot of stock footage, Tekkaman Blade is a fucking fire. Also, shout outs to Blaster Master. I think a good way to get people into Mecha is to have something like a discussion. You could just really get a feel for how much passion and I'm positive if people probably listen to us blabbing up this stuff.
Yeah.
It will probably sell. But I think the best way to is to start small. Like Gundam's the most popular. But the thing is, while everyone should watch the entire Universal Sentai, it's just so much, dude.
Yeah.
It's way too much.
And it kind of goes back to what I was saying before.
I think it's best. Somebody ban Evan. I swear to God, this guy seems to try to piss me off every time. What's up?
Don't worry, he's done that. He's been doing that with me too. Trust me.
Nah, but I think for sure there people are gonna wanna watch because it is the most notorious. I do think that sure, if they should start with Gundam, then probably a simple one. I still think the best introduction to Gundam would be Gundam 00.
Well, okay, so you
from Universal, then I would recommend.
Wait, what were we gonna say, boys?
I don't know how badly I'm lagging out, but fucking Discord on both applications of mobile and desktop are killing me. But I will say, Gundam is a good start. What would you say a good substitute would be? Infinite Stratos.
That's
Because it's
Infinite Stratos is like a sci-fi thing.
Yeah, it is, and it's basically
Martian successor to
not,
Densuo.
because it's not full body mechs, but it's more of like mech suit.
Martian successor to Densuo, without a doubt.
What did you say? Sorry, I'm.
Yeah.
Martian successor to Densuo.
I'll type it in the discussion board chat, or
Please do.
at least post it.
Because it's my end, I know.
Martian successor to Densuo also has one of the best openings ever.
Yep. And I think I can probably play it. I'm not monetizing YouTube anyway.
Oh, I'm gonna put it. I'll post it in the chat. I already got you.
Okay. But yeah, Martian successor to Densuo, it's definitely a fun show to watch, but also, I guess people have a hard time trying to figure out what it means to subvert the genre. And I guess when people try to explain things on a very meta level, it starts getting a little bit dizzying, to say the least. Like, don't get me wrong, there are like some instances where people can properly explain certain shows within the mecha genre, but when it comes to like people that like come from, I would say, an outside perspective trying to look in, chances are they're gonna get looked down upon pretty heavily if they don't have the information on lock. Like, there are people that might be.
I think the best way to get people into mech, it has to be short.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you play, if it could like that, it'll prevent them from being bored. That's why, again, I would recommend Macross Plus, because Macross Plus is the animation quality. Animation quality still holds up. The music is very good.
Yep.
I can go with I can go with that. Macross Frontier isn't half bad either. The original Macross is great. It's just pretty long.
And it's sort of dated too.
Nah, I don't care. I don't look. Even if the original Gundam is dated, the original Gundam is still very, very good. You're still going to get the impact when you're introduced to characters like Rambo Bro.
Mm-hmm.
So even it's those it's still timeless. And I mean, at least for the original Gundam, you can watch the movies. I mean, the only thing you're gonna miss is what's his name?
I wouldn't jump to like Do You Remember Love right away. At least watch the original series before watching DRYL, because you might get lost in a few things and might miss a few key differences that kind of set them apart. But if you do want to get like the express idea of how the original Macross functioned and how it kind of played its beats, then you could probably go with Do You Remember Love. I wouldn't say it's cheating though, but it does get the job done in being like a very punchy version of it.
Cyberbots, as in the Capcom game, it's fine.
Yeah. And there's like two of them too. There's the actual fighting game, and there is the side-scrolling beat 'em up too. I'm doing pretty good. And you?
I mean, Robotech is fine. Okay, I don't have any ill will towards the voice actors. The original Robotech was perfectly fine. It's just as much as because, like I said, Robotech was an influence for me. Okay, I will never deny that I watched Robotech, specifically the Macross saga, because personally, the more I think about it, I have no idea how they managed to try to make sense out of combining 3 different animes. But if you watched Robotech just with the Macross saga, then that's fine. But then otherwise, I mean, it's unfortunate, because now, given what's going on with this, the only thing I can really do is just say fuck Harmony Gold.
Yeah.
Because now, because of the fact that Harmony Gold is a bunch of dipshits and they renewed their copyright, I don't understand how that was allowed to happen, because the person who created Macross is pretty upset about it.
Yep.
It's unfortunate, because that's the reason why we don't have any of the Macross here in America, with the exception of, I think, Macross 2, which is like something on, which is like its own thing.
Yeah.
And then Macross Plus. I'm actually amazed we even have Macross Plus out.
Yeah, I think that kind of eked in right before Harmony Gold actually acquired it.
It's a cluster. It's a mess, and it's like, I like how Glass Reflection said it in the video. We can have a world, we can have a timeline where both Macross and Robotech exist. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I don't have a problem with the voice actors or anything like that. From what I can tell, they're not assholes like some voice actors apparently tend to be. It's just that Harmony Gold did some fortunate. But definitely, Macross, like I said, Macross Plus, Gunbuster, War in the Pocket. Mm-hmm. Those are like my first. Those will be my first recommendations. Macross Plus is not very long, has great music, animation has aged well. Gundam War in the Pocket is exceptional at getting the point across that both sides are not that. For example, Xeon, which is generally shown as the villains, are, they're human too, and that the Federation isn't exactly, they're not exactly angels.
Nope.
And it also gets to point across that war is fucking hell, war sucks, and that, as Bart Simpson said in an episode of The Simpsons, there are no winners in war, losers. But then he does make a couple of exceptions. But and then I do like Gunbuster because, yeah, sure, Gunbuster did have its moments of fan service, with girls of a questionable age.
Yep.
But the point here is that Gunbuster had very good animation. In my opinion, it still holds up well. It has some decent music. It features the classic super robot requirement of blood and courage. And, like I said, fan service aside, because that's just anime for the time. Even with its fan service, I don't think anybody here will dispute that our lead girls are strong characters.
Yep.
I don't think anybody will dispute that. Because let's all remember that when Gunbuster's striking the pose, Noriko's fucking doing it herself. So, if anybody, so you got a moment where this fucking girl got that hot blood going and she's fucking outmanning most fucking dudes.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Just taking on the entire space monster armada herself, pretty much.
Exactly. With her senpai, but yes.
Yeah.
But that's another reason too. I think another like, because a lot of people tell me, oh, but what about getting women into the genre? Look no further than Macro. Oh, excuse me. Look no further than Gunbuster. There you go. I'll definitely recommend Gunbuster as a super robot entry, and then Reels across Warner. I think the other thing too is that we have to emphasize when you try to get somebody into Mecha is Mecha just enhance the show. It's not just robots. It's not just robots.
Right.
That's why I feel that in general, it's probably better for somebody who wants something more serious to introduce them to real robots as opposed to super. If they just want a time killer, then by all means give them a super with some goofy shit.
Yeah.
It's funny, Evan? Given how there are so many people out here with shitty taste in anime, I would recommend Seed. Because honestly, Seed, at least regular Seed, I haven't watched Destiny yet, but Seed isn't that bad. It's just that it has several horrible flaws. And even then, something I still don't understand. For as polarizing as Gundam Seed and Gundam Destiny are, why is it that Kira, Jesus Yamato, and Locus, Crouching Moron, Hidden Badass, Klein were always at the top of the polls for so fucking long? I don't understand why.
It's a character dynamic. It's a character dynamic.
Because I thought in Seed, yeah, exactly, for over 10 fucking years. That makes no sense to me, because Kira is a terrible protagonist, and Locus, I'm sorry, but I think she is one of the worst examples of the TV trope, crouching moron, hidden badass. I don't see it. Hold on, I need to play another Gundam banger to get the. And mind you, I like some of the music in Seed. I did like some of the themes in Seed. I'll give it that.
Yeah, Seed definitely has a lot of memorable songs, especially the opening themes too.
But it's just that
because it wasn't with Team Revolution.
Yeah, but it's just that some of the. Shut the fuck up, Evan. Next, you're gonna tell me that Flip Flop Thought is a good character also. Next, you're gonna tell me that Flip Flop thought it's a good character. You're gonna tell me that Flay is a good character.
Don't worry, he always tells me that Gundam X is not my favorite show. So it's always a running thing. He is the Optimus Seed fan. No, he's a Seed. He will ride or die for Seed.
No, you have to play that, by the way, too, man. Please play that. This is if Lagoon, I hope you're still there. You need to hear this.
Gagged. And this was in a new translation for Zeta. Let me read
this shit's a fucking banger.
But I guess the one thing I could also add, since there is like you mentioned before, the super robot genre and the real robot genre, wouldn't it kind of confuse like newcomers, or would it require a bit more of like a softball discussion as to how these two are somewhat different yet the same?
Yeah.
Because I feel like in some cases, especially if it's coming from like an anti-tuber or someone that might be trying to get a point across, whenever they try to talk about Mecha as a whole, they don't really differentiate between those two subtypes. Some may argue that separating super robots and real robots is a bit of a questionable decision because it kind of alienates and sets like different camps. So it makes things a little bit more complicated to kind of introduce people into the genre itself. So would you say there might be some sort of leeway to kind of introduce people into the mecha genre as a whole, instead of just trying to separate them into like two different categories?
Can you say that again?
You think there might be a good way in order to kind of boil it down into like one whole genre rather than splitting it into like super robot or real robot, or is there really no way to do so?
There is. I think there is a. See, there's one thing people don't. A lot of people think that the characters didn't. It's because they had the robot. The robot is the sword. It's still the person. It's still that person's spirit.
Mm-hmm.
There are moments in both in real and super robot where it is the spirit or the will of the pilot that needs to be pushed. You know,
right?
There are moments like, for example, the last shooting in Gundam that was cool when he set it up full. Amuro Full Char, or the moment where even though Gao Gaigar is, wielding one of his strongest weapons, the Goldion Crusher, even though he's about to use the Goldion Crusher, Guy is still being wheeled forward by everyone who's there.
Yeah.
So it's not just the robot being powerful that's accomplishing what needs to be accomplished. It's all, and even then you can look at it with Getter Robo. Sure, the Getter Robos are insanely powerful, but they're still doing this at a risk. They're still having to be perfect and in unity when finding things. Mm-hmm. There's also, for example, another prime example. Look at Neon Genesis Evangelion. Sure, the robot's powerful. They had to defeat one of the angels by, having a strong robot. Sure, but what about when both, Shinji and Asuka, two people who are constantly at odds with each other, practiced to get a routine down, and then when they both went out to go fight this angel
that can split in two,
that split in two, they were both perfectly in sync.
Mm-hmm.
Robot wasn't making any corrections. That was all them.
Nope.
And then if we want to be silly, the undefeated of the fucking East took out fucking robots with a fucking towel. Fuck out of here.
Of course, he's pretty much treating them like chaff. Nothing. Everything is just below him. He's Master Asia at that point.
Yeah,
he's not like, Master Gundam piloting. Master Asia.
The point is like a lot of people look at it as something that they didn't earn with their own or their own ability, and that's just bullshit. Because even then, I can do that. You can debunk that both with and without the robot. A perfect example of a person being good is, for example, Maximilian Genius, who's overpowered in Macross.
Yep.
Or let's look at one of our favorite dumbasses, and Shiro from 08th MS team.
Yep.
Need I remind you, he took out a fucking mobile suit with a fucking ball that wasn't even made for combat. And he also took out a robot with a rocket. He also took out a suit with a rocket launcher.
Yep.
So I'm not hearing that. It's not just the robots that are doing all. The pilots are getting things done too.
Yeah, and we could also add in like Chiyoko Kyuvi, who is pretty much a soldier that has like a high survival rate. So he's been at this for years. He's been at this for like so long that he's been revered and reviled by his enemies as like this force of nature. But he's just one man that's capable of making the impossible possible with or without a scope dog. Same thing with the Melolink. Just going up against actual armored targets with a pile bunker and just putting in work, because at the end of the day he knows how to deal with those kind of things. He was nearly set up to die, and he had to adapt to every situation and every person that he aimed for in his path for revenge. He knew the ways in order to get around their defenses, the ways to kind of bypass their armor, how to lure them out. It was all strategy and planning that made it work. So at the end of the day...
and also being angry helps too.
Yeah, and being angry. Just being flat out mad and want to kill everything in sight. Well, kill everyone that deserves to die. Yeah. And I guess the one thing that kind of gets misconstrued, this whole argument that, how did it go again? It's usually brought up whenever Evangelion is into the topic, but it's not about it's about the characters. I think that's how it went.
Well, I mean, it is. Mecha is actually pretty character. That's what it is. Mecha tends to be very character, and it's just that a lot of times it tends to be about war.
Yeah.
And people are kind of tired of war at this point.
I mean, like, we're probably not going to get anything like Pat Labor, where it's just a police force that has access to a giant robot. Or
hold on, Evan. See, I don't know if you're trolling or not, but I'm gonna actually agree with you. I'm not a fan of drills, but I have a hard on for pile bunker. Lagoon, a pile bunker is basically, think of it as a construction jackhammer, or we can show you the final evolution of the pile bunker.
Which one? The revolving stake or something else?
Of course, the revolving stake on the alt ASIN. That is the pinnacle. That is the pinnacle of pile bunker. Now I have to say this too. Now here's the thing. I have to say this too. One of the strongest selling points, in my opinion, in Mecha, is that Mecha has a lot of strong female characters. Now I get it. Some people might get mad at me and be like, but Densuo, look at Super Robot Wars. They had too much bouncing boobs and fan service. Get the fuck over it. Titties bounce. Let me have my titty. Even with the bouncing titty, you could ignore the bouncing titty. You could ignore the girls like Ciola getting teased because of how fucking huge her fucking boobs are and how revealing her outfit is or whatever. And we can go on about how Excellent Browning is all about showing off her
assets.
She's all about being fan service. She's genre savvy.
Yeah.
But that same exact character, Excellent Browning, as silly as she is, when the chips are down, she's very serious. When her chips are down, she gets shit done. Okay? In my opinion, Excellent Browning in her Waste Ritter has some of the coolest attacks in the game.
Yep.
Like, you'll see where, for example, you'll have wars where you'll have all these robots or all these tanks lined up to fire artillery. She doesn't need that. She just needs her fucking... Because this damn suit is so goddamn fast that she basically creates her own fucking artillery line. That's badass as fuck.
And are we talking about the original White Suiter or the Rain version?
I'm talking about the Rain. I believe it's the Rain that does that, because the Rain one is the one that has the both firing modes.
Yeah.
But like the I think that's something I like about Mecha. I feel Mecha is actually very good about providing interesting and strong female characters that don't necessarily have to play second fiddle. Because here's the thing, if I'm not mistaken, yes, she is a little lovey-dovey towards
Kyosuke.
But at the end of the day, he would have been dead a long time ago, even with his fucking luck, if it wasn't for her. And she does provide emotional support for him. And I'm not talking about in the recruiting character bullshit. No, like she legit cares about him, even if she's always acting silly. You know, the lovey-dovey stuff she does is just her being silly and teasing him because he doesn't really like showing that stuff. He leaves that stuff for private.
Right.
There's also a line I always like quoting that she did. There's a game where a character is looking for Kyosuke.
Right.
And he's very aggressive about it. The guy asks for Kyosuke. Excellent confronts the person and asks him, why are you looking for him? And he dismisses her as how some male characters would disrespect or look down on a woman. He makes the mistake of doing this towards her, and he's like, oh, what's it to you? Basically he's kind of telling her to mind her business.
Right.
And her response to that is, while still keeping a smile on her face, is, because depending on your answer, you're not going to fucking be alive once I'm fucking done with you.
Yeah, pretty good.
You know, like she basically tells him that. So it's like, yeah, sure, she fucking goofs around a lot, but don't get it twisted. Excellent to fucking badass. And there are a lot of badass females in Mecha. That's, like I said, that's the reason why I like to sell Mecha. A lot of the female pilots are fucking pretty badass.
Yep.
Even if they have a couple of moments when they get owned. Like Noin, she has to hold so many fucking L's in Gundam Wing, but ultimately Super Robot Wars treats her pretty good.
Yep.
Same with
characters like Jun Hono or Sayaka, or even like some real robot pilots that can really hold their own. Like, the best thing about it is that no one is truly powerless in Mecha, except for like people that just kind of mind their own business to some degree. Yeah. But the ones that really step up to the plate, whenever the chips are down, whenever the life's on the line, or whenever we have the cliche, the friends give me power BS, at the end of the day, something's about to get done, and it's going to get done in the most spectacular fashion possible.
By the way, Lagoon, when Evan was mentioning about Gurren Lagann is fun. The problem with Gurren Lagann is...
And we're going to get to that point, too.
Here's the only issue I have with Gurren Lagann. As good as the show was fine. The issue with Gurren Lagann is that it is the favorite mecha show for anime fans that don't watch mecha and don't know shit about it. That's the problem. They'll watch that show, and then because of the over-the-topness and silliness of the show, they'll compare other shows to it. And that's not fair, because the thing is, Gurren Lagann is kind of a bit of a subversion.
In what way?
Well, not a subversion, but it kind of goes against the grain of a lot of men. Darling in the Franxx.
Okay. We're gonna have to save that for like the next part of this. We're gonna have to talk about that in particular. Because
I wanted it to be good.
It started off
well, but then the fans fucked it up.
Yep. And I guess also with me, it just felt like there were a lot of potential waiting to happen, but every single episode they dropped the ball for some odd reason. They dropped the ball on like introducing the characters and the presence of the mechs themselves. They kind of dropped the ball when it came to why these Klaxosaurs exist until like a certain point. But even then, it's just, I guess the characters kind of contributed to its downfall if you think about it, because of how lacking they were portrayed. I don't know. It's just,
Yes, fam. Yes.
I think it was that particular
But
thing.
ultimately, actually, no, I'll disagree, Phantom. If you get your feet wet with Gurren Lagann, fucking dive in. There's more to Mecha than Gurren Lagann. There's more to Mecha than Gurren Lagann. If you like Gurren Lagann because it's lighthearted and you want to watch something a little that's still on the lighthearted side and still a little silly and has fan service, go watch Godanner. Godanner's fine. Go watch Godanner. Godanner has plenty of fan service. The English voiceovers are actually pretty good. And if you like fan service, you're gonna have plenty of bouncing tits all over.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the robot designs are fun, and there's also a character who's pretty funny because this character has a very popular voice actor, I believe both in English and Japanese, and he literally spends like almost a whole fucking series recovering from an injury from early in the show, which is hilarious.
Okay, so I guess like a few other things that we can probably get in before we boil down exactly our topic for the night. What would you say are the pitfalls of the mecha genre? Like certain shows that you want people to kind of avoid to not have their mood soured or anything like that.
Gundam Seed.
Like if you could come up with like a top 5 or top 6 or 7. Because I know for a fact on my list, it's definitely going to be Gurren Lagann and Darling in the Franxx. Iron-Blooded Orphans is definitely another one.
Skip Gundam Seed. If you're looking to start Mecha, don't start with Gurren Lagann. That's not to say that it's bad, but don't start with Gurren Lagann. Don't start with Darling in the Franxx. Do not start with Gundam Seed. That's the wrong one to start. And I'm gonna hate myself for saying this. Don't start with Robotech. Avoid Robotech. Avoid Robotech. Avoid Seed. Avoid Darling in the Franxx. On Gurren.
Yeah. I think me and MD Chaos kind of had that conversation too. I think you were also into it as well, but the reason why Gurren Lagann, it feels like it rewards the people that are invested in the mecha genre, and it doesn't at the same time. But in the way that people treat it, like you said, it's like it's so over the top that some people just even forget that it's a mecha show altogether. It's just balls to the wall insane.
It's a mecha show for non-mecha.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's a mecha show for non-mecha. Point blank.
Mm-hmm. Now, I also mentioned Iron-Blooded Orphans, but I can probably specify like season 2, where it's things start to go awry.
What is that?
Well, I feel like it had a good thing going to in terms of like the concept of what it was trying to go for, like it being a more grittier Gundam series where it's like more close quarters combat. similar to like how Breakblade was, where it's just a lot of close quarters combat, just people just brutalizing each other on the field.
Unga Bunga Gundam.
Yep. But I guess.
Oh wait. Actually, no. Finish. Because then I'm gonna ask a question. I think this was gonna be. I think me asking this was gonna be polarizing. But go on.
But I guess by the second season, when it started getting more into like the space aspect, it feels like they were trying to over dramatize a lot of the points that originally made season 1 kind of interesting to watch. I don't know how I can frame it well enough, but it feels like that the moment that it started going away from the more grounded aspects of what got it started, the less and less it kind of lost its direction. Even with like the final episode where everything just went back down onto Mars, where everybody just got murked on the way to that point, it still didn't really carry a whole lot of weight compared to like the ending of the first season.
Yeah, I'll agree. So let me ask a quick question then.
Yeah.
So, question for everybody. Would you recommend G Gundam? That's the $1 million question today. Would y'all recommend G Gundam?
Like out of all the other Gundam series, or just still in the Mecha category?
As into someone, because you mentioned which ones to avoid.
Yeah.
For people looking to get into Mecha. Where would you put?
Honestly, and it's gonna sound polarizing as well, but I would say I would have people avoid G Gundam only because it blurs the line between super and real.
Well, but why? Why isn't the middle ground good?
I don't know.
I mean, because here's the thing. G Gundam is, real robots that are actually supers.
Mm-hmm.
It blurs the line. It is a standalone Gundam, so you don't need any investment.
Right.
It can be a little hammy with some of the shenanigans Super Asia does, So, would it really be that? Do you really think it'll be that polarizing, or are you saying that because you think it's going to set a false expectation like Gurren Lagann did?
I guess the way that I look at it is it might kind of, if someone is trying to look into like Gundam in general,
yeah,
usually they would think about more of the wait, let me think it over for a little bit. Because now that we're actually talking about this, I'm just going back to like Double O.
Not really, Vroom. Not really.
Yeah, I wouldn't say so either, because the only ones that really reach that real and super boundaries would be either like Turn A,
Wing.
Real. I wouldn't say Wing, except for like the Zero system. But even then, that's
come on, dude. Look, dude. Come on. Look how dumb strong the fucking Wing Zero's double buster is. That shit was stupid.
Yeah, especially in the Endless Waltz.
And then you also have in Gundam 00, the Quanta was kind of stupid. Fuck you on particles.
Yep.
That's kind of borderline. That's dumb shit, right?
Yeah. Now that we're actually hashing this out, I think going back to the initial question, I think G Gundam would actually be a perfect fit, because at the end of the day, most, if not all, the alternate universe Gundams tend to bleed super and real together to some degree. Just some have their different brands of bullshit to their own.
Hello? Oh? Listen, Evan. Listen. See, super robots tend to do bullshit. So you mean to tell me that when Kira goes into seed mode on demand, and then he pops up his fucking radar, and then he locks onto 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 targets, and then during all this time, his robot locks onto these 8 robots. You mean to tell me that he is so accurate and so good that he lands all 8 of these weapons, all these beams, and all of them except for 2 are firing from weapons that cannot be adjusted or corrected? And not only is he going to know it is the fucking robot too, fuck you. And not only does he fire all 8 of these beams, none of them are being corrected, none of them are tracking, and he's going to land debilitating shots on all of them at 8 different robots. And all of them are on 2 different factions. No, it is on Freedom. It is on Freedom because Freedom is acquiring the lock-on. It is not Kira making adjustments. Kira is literally pressing a button, looking at the map. The map scores the lock-on. Then he fucking presses the shoot. It is not something that is explained or that makes sense, like when Maximilian Genus mentions how he traces his opponents to shoot them down with his gun pod. It is not explained like when Kira is in seed mode and disables Yizak when he could have killed him like he killed Nicole. He adjusts his sword to take them down, to take down Yizak. He adjusts his sword to take down several robots with his sword. But when he scores either all headshots or he blows up their arm or their gun, you mean to tell me that that's not fucking super robot levels of bullshit? Come on, bro. You mean to tell me that a war machine, a machine built to kill, a machine built to destroy, that this motherfucker is going to aim at all of them for their head or for their arm? Bullshit. Bullshit. Even that wasn't explained. It wasn't made. If it would have made more sense, if Kira would have taken time out and would have expositioned and confirmed that he rewrote the OS like he did at the beginning of the series, or when he made adjustments to fighting in the sand, that he adjusted the targeting system with data from robots to aim for the head, to aim for the arm, to aim for the weapon, to aim for non-vitals. That was not explained. That's bullshit. That's super robot levels of bullshit. And no, fuck you. Him being the ultimate coordinator is even more super robot bullshit. Yep. You mean to tell me, oh, you're the only one who's able to do that? That's super robot levels of shit.
And no,
you're proving my point, bro. You're proving my point. Densuo wins. Flawless victory. Fatality. No friendships. GG no re. When did Kira become the robot? Bruh, he's the ultimate coordinator, and he's pulling off bullshit, bro. He's the only one that can do it. He's the only one doing this bullshit. Everyone's referring to his robot as a one-of-a-kind. That's the other problem. The robot is a fucking crazy bullshit one-of-a-kind, which other robots aren't doing. The only person who's fucking keeping up with him is fucking, what's his stupid name? Othran.
And shit.
That is fucking good, dude. That's fucking. That's super. That's blurring the line, bro. That's on Justice. Yes. I mean, Providence was still a gun, but was still a gun. No. Nobody cares about Forbidden, Calamity, and Raider. Nobody fucking even knew the cool guy. I call them the cool guys.
It's just Jeff. They just get taken down.
Come on, man.
Like, in the final few episodes, and you already forget their names at that point.
Ah, man.
But yeah, I think
Flay's a train wreck. Flay's a train wreck. See,
I hate it.
Vroom Sword said it. They're just there for the bottle marketing.
We're just talking about that while I have my no show here. I have my Master Grade Freedom 2.0, which I got from Anime NYC from the Bluefin panel. A pretty nice kit. Almost done with it too.
Oh, by the way, Raider did not heavily damage the Freedom. Stock footage heavily damaged the Freedom.
They ain't no scrubs, but they're not getting any love.
You know what? I do have to give you that. I do have to give you that. I do have to give you that because. No, wait. No, fuck you. No. Here's even more proof that this is fucking super robot levels of bullshit. Okay? Gundam Wing is on levels of super robots because of how absurdly powerful the cannon, the twin buster rifle was, and how Hiro Yui somehow survived him self-destructing his fucking suit. Yep. Now you mean to tell me that
a nuclear explosion,
motherfucking Kira, survives that fucking stupid ass, I forgot the name of that fucking Gundam because I hate that fucking Gundam so much.
Aegis.
Yeah, Aegis. Fuck Aegis. But you mean to tell me that the Strike gets its fucking cockpit ripped open, and then Aegis puts the fucking pussy clamp in his face and says, "Fuck you, Kira, I'm gonna self-destruct." And he self-destructs in his face. So you have a self-destructing robot, a robot blowing up, and this motherfucker has literally no place to go, and he somehow survives. Come on.
And he gets picked up by a side character too.
Yo, that is super robot levels of bullshit, right? But those guys they killed the girls in the Strays. That was kind of fucked up. Those girls they should have lived. They should have lived.
Gotta read this straight. Yeah, that's what I was kind of alluding to because Lo actually picked up Kira first. He was bowling off a pretty far distance too, a distance that would have killed a normal man. But somehow he just. But I guess that's something that should have been explained from the get-go. But I guess because of the timing constraints and limitations, they saved it for Astray, which helped clarify a few things, but even then, it still doesn't help the case that Kira is just fucking durable. That's why the whole Jesus beam came about. He survived multiple attacks that should have killed him. Multiple instances where he should have died. Discord is going tits up. Might have to take a while before the stream actually reconnects, if that might be the case. Nope, the stream is still up. Yeah. Hang on. We're probably going to try and get Discord up and running again, if it does connect. But if, going back to like what Densuo said, if someone has like a one-of-a-kind ability that makes them extremely rare or gifted, that's definitely towing the line of Super Robot. Because, for lack of better words, Super Robot shows are comparable to like hero shows, where they have something that makes them stand out compared to everybody else. It's either enhanced durability or some sort of special ability that allows them to bend reality itself or something like that. Kira isn't a robot, but he has something that makes the robot perform much better than everybody else. Even if it is through genetic engineering, there's some aspect of it that allows him to bring his performance well beyond everybody else's parameters. But one thing I can kind of weigh back down to gravity, the one thing that makes Kira more down to earth is the fact that he is, well, what's the best way I could put it here? Aside from him being a pacifist, the main thing that makes him a little bit more human compared to like some other characters here and there is the fact that he kind of goes through a lot of development as a character. And that's a blessing and a curse. Like you said, I haven't watched Destiny yet, but I feel like they exhausted any possible humanity that he could have in Destiny, because they threw him in like midway. Yeah, let me restart Discord. It might be down. Womp womp. Yep, we are down with Discord. And it's server wide too. So shit. We don't know how long it's gonna come back on, so you gotta be missing out on Densuo. Just Densuo and I are just shooting the shit at this point. But I guess my personal pitfalls would be, if I expand on this further, going back, we have Gurren Lagann, Dong and Franks, Iron-Blooded Orphan Season 2. Don't get me wrong, Iron-Blooded Orphan still is kind of good to watch, but the tough thing is to try and convince everybody to like dial it back and look at the other series, because they're so adamant on seeing the spectacle of what happened in Iron-Blooded Orphans and see it emulated back into like the older shows. That's why I always prefer Thunderbolt, because it not only captures like the horrors of war, but it also gives you an idea of what the universal century could have been capable of from a different perspective. It's either 0080 or Thunderbolt that I usually recommend to newer viewers or people that are interested in watching like the Gundam series. But if I'm talking to someone that wants to know more about the mecha genre in general, it's kind of difficult to say, considering that most of the stuff that I watch are either old or pretty long. But I would say Ep.3 will be a good one if you can kind of look past the visuals, because the Mecha still carries the same weight. Plus it's 23 episodes, so it's an average anime episode. It's an average anime cour nowadays. Full cour, I mean. There's also Votoms if you want like really good storytelling and a much grittier atmosphere that would really connect you to not only the main character but the world itself. and see how much suffering one character can endure just in order to be left alone. He just wants to be in peace. And I might get a little bit of flack for this, but it's a personal favorite of mine. Mainly because of how much of a train wreck it is, but because it takes itself so seriously that it works. And that's Cross-Ange. Believe it or not, I would actually recommend Cross-Ange.
I'll register that as a new quest on the list.
Oh, wait, let me see. So I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to set things up on my phone, so it's gonna be hard to get things back up. Alright, let me try the browser version of Discord, see if I can get any better luck. Okay, allow. Hello? Oh, right. Shit. I'm gonna have to set things up real quick.
Just had a stupid.
So you kind of heard. Wait, what did you hear so far from me? Because I'm kind of using the browser version of Discord in order to try and patch things through. Because for some reason the application itself went down.
Yeah, mine seems to be still.
Oh, you got bodied too?
Hmm?
So it's everybody that got bodied.
I think we should maybe call this podcast technical difficulty.
Yeah, this is technical difficulty part 2, but this time it's not our fault.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm gonna have to use the volumes up, but I can't bring it up any further, so that sucks. Thanks, Discord. Pieces of shit.
Thanks, Discord. You did it.
Here's the participation award. You deserve it. Okay, everyone wants to join in?
You mean like
No, not the Seed fanboy Evan, but Evan in our Discord.
Yeah, C was a fucking trade. C was fun. Still watchable, but
Yep, it's always going down. Now I can't really bring up the volume as much as I want, but I might have to mess with the mixer in order to see if it works. If I can actually... Well, it's mostly tied to my browser. So, say something?
Yo,
Yep, there we go. Let's see what happens. Let's check Discord, but let's keep the ball rolling. So, aside from like the pitfalls, well, I guess what would probably be your personal recommendations if you haven't kind of listed them? If you actually just spoke with someone that's relatively new to anime or relatively new to the mecha genre, but is a little bit on the fence, what would be your recommendations?
wait, say that again?
If you're like speaking to someone that is relatively new to anime or is a bit on the fence about participating in like mecha, what would be your personal recommendations to kind of ease them in?
Yeah, same ones I mentioned before, for sure. War in the Pocket. I've got the War in the Pocket, Macross Plus, and Bust.
Okay. Now I guess one other thing that we can probably talk about the most, and it probably does factor into a lot of other decision-making processes, but the look. And with how infrequent mecha is nowadays, what would you say would be the biggest challenge for someone that's probably looking for much newer stuff as opposed to, say, have them look at the older catalogs?
A lot of the new stuff. I think. Mecha's perfectly healthy. The genre. You can recommend that a person watch them instead of forcing them. If they were to tell me, I want to watch some recent, then
Hey, cutting back. Wait, you're cutting back out again.
oh, sorry. I think Mecha is a perfectly healthy genre to tell someone they can watch older and still enjoy. Because I think what's most important, if you're going to sell somebody into the, then you need to put your best foot forward. So why would I tell someone, yeah, go watch Darling in the Franxx, when I can tell you, yeah, go watch War in the Pocket, go watch Macross Plus? Why would I tell you to watch something or something that is polarized or something that may not be as good and give you a false expectation or set you up thing? I think that's I think that's one of those questions where I would have to give you the wrong answer. I don't think it would be good to start someone off the wrong. I think it's important that you get your best foot forward and you give them the good reputation. That's fair. Or I don't think that's fair to the person you're trying to convince. So I would be completely against forcing something. To me, it's not about something. To me, it's I need you to watch something. Anything else would be civilized. I mean, that's fine. If you like the character, then watch it.
Yeah.
You know, I think the show was fine until they got to the train wreck. Like where they just pulled some bullshit. You know, because I remember a lot of people were very angry at the one girl at name, and she kind of went and tried to manipulate the main character.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got mad, and they were sending
Death threats. Yeah.
to the voice actor. I think it was.
Yep. I remember that.
What they did.
Yep, I remember clear as day.
Everybody wanted to ship the main character with 02. I get that, but I don't. Everybody who was doing that, that's not the Mecha.
No,
we ain't like.
No, far from it.
There are some characters that we don't like. Like I know a lot of people didn't, but I look at Flay. No joke. I look at Flay the same way I look at Kale and Khalid. You know what I'm saying? I think explain this. I think I actually lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
That's all good. It's all good.
I think yeah, today's anime fans, I don't know what the hell they're doing, but honestly, that's not even today's anime fans. That's a lot of fans in general.
Yeah.
Where people are like super reactive, but the ones that are doing the whole overreacting for things, it's just like, yo, are you serious, man?
Yeah, it's not a good look.
I don't understand why some of these fans are overreacting. That's just like you're making us look bad.
We'll see, Evan. We'll see. But yeah, whenever it's even for the smallest of things, especially if you go into like the other aspects, like if the character is gay or something amongst the lines of that, they would go above and beyond in order to protect that particular image. But the moment something happens, shit just gets haywire in a matter of seconds.
Yeah.
And that's an unfortunate thing because there are people that might relate to that certain character here and there, and as long as they're not token and actually have some proper development, then yeah, that's something that would hit right at home. But even then, there's still a lot of things that some people can take a little bit too far, and I feel like Mecha in some degree has the benefit of just avoiding a lot of those complicated situations because of how unified everybody can be. It doesn't matter what creed or race you are, as long as you can just put yourself forward, then that's all that matters.
I don't know what I think fandoms nowadays.
Wait, what'd you say? You kind of cut out a bit.
I mean, I think it's fine to enjoy. I think it's fine. I don't remember people being. Well, no. I know sometimes fandoms have been pretty creepy. It's just the fact that nowadays, because of the interwebs, and it's become what it's become. Because I'm sure you're going to be able to find some forums past people being idiots.
Yeah.
It's just that now, since we have dumb shit like Twitter, it's easier for the dumbasses to, it's easier for dumbasses to dumbass.
Yeah, it's easy to get very insular, to create a lot of small pockets that can echo a lot of the same thoughts, and not a lot of discourse that would either challenge or contest against a lot of the status quo that's established. So at the end of the day, the moment that something bleeds in that is different from them, they just try to shut it out like an antibody.
I don't think that's gonna hurt the genre.
Nah.
I feel like for the most part, I feel for the most part, the Mecha fans tend to be pretty welcome. It's just that some of us have polarizing opinions, sure, but for the most part, I think it's safe to say, if a random anime fan is gonna walk up to us and be like, "Hey, I want to get into Mecha," I think the only thing I feel that people are going to really say more than anything else is probably don't watch Seed and don't watch Gorilla.
Yeah. And you remember, like at Anime OIC, we showed a whole lot of appreciation for the cosplayers that actually cosplay like Mecha series, like that Noriko cosplayer, or not Noriko, Kasumi. Yeah, I think it was Kasumi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty rare when you see the fan. It's always good to see.
Yeah.
It's all right though. I think we'll be fine. It's
Yeah.
just it's kind of unfortunate. Right now, I feel like Gundam is kind of hard.
Wait, what'd you say?
Especially with how we have Hathaway's Flash Cup. I don't think I think Thunderbolt is doing, but I think Gundam narrative pull.
Yeah, narrative was a bit on the polarizing side. Some people did enjoy it, some people didn't. Most people are gonna cite the new type magic bullshit being the main issue, because it's I wish I was a bird so I could fly away from the movie theater after watching that. Because it had a good thing going. The Titan subplot was very interesting, but the moment that it veered away from that and focused more on the new type aspect on a more paranormal level. Granted, Gundam has gone into a paranormal level before with the new type flashes between Lala, Amuro, and Char, and Judo and Haman, and even Camille and Shiroko. There's always that there's always that paranormal aspect to it that just make it stand out greatly. And even, yeah, this flying space tease, the psycho frame from Char's counterattack.
What was up with, I never understood. What was the deal with the flying space tease?
Apparently, it was like some missing portion of the. Okay, it might be Tomino. No, it might be. It's Tomino just sprinkling his.
Yo, hold on.
Yep.
Flying space T. Tomino. Flying T pose.
That's like some Kojima level shit. It is some Kojima level shit. Because there's nothing to actually logically conclude. I ate already, though. Yeah, I ate already. Thank you. But yeah, there was a lot of Deus Ex Machina in effect. But the fact of the matter is...
Can I say something polarizing?
Sure.
Char's counterattack was...
Wait, say it again?
Char's counterattack wasn't all that good.
You're actually one of the few people that actually have that kind of viewpoint.
Well, my opinion on it is this. I think, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoyed Char's counterattack, but I feel like Char's counterattack should not have been I think it would have been better as a small episode OV, because I think it ended up having to move faster than it needed to.
Yeah. If anything, I think the best way in order to experience Char's counterattack is through the Belter Chica's Children manga. And even then, that takes its fair share of liberties, but it's a lot more fleshed out. So it does give it does take the merits that the movie had and just exemplifies it to a greater degree.
I mean, ultimately, I think it was fine. Don't get me wrong. I think it was fine. I was just trying to see if I was gonna get any reactions of it, but no, I think it was fine. I feel either the movie should have been a little longer, or it could have been a small episode. I think I would have done. Hopefully, with Hathaway's flash, maybe, and how we're doing things with Gundam: The Origin, maybe we get a do-over on Charge Counterattack.
It's a possibility. Like, just readapt the Belter Chica's children's storyline then. Unless if the... Wait.
Char's character changes so freaky. It's kind of...
Mm-hmm.
Because it's kind of crazy, because Char is, hell-bent on revenge at first. And then in Zeta, I feel like in Zeta, he calmed the fuck. And then in 3, then it just shows he was still a deeply scarred trouble. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I think in Zeta he took like a backseat approach to see how things would develop now that Zeon was out of the picture for a small moment. And then once he after the events of Zeta, I think he was probably horrified about what happened to Camille, and they didn't really bother showing his face sometime in Zeta 2. I think there was a PS1 or PS2 game that had the reason why Char kind of went back to his more vengeful roots, but even then it was still a bit vague. I just forgot which PS1. I forgot which Gundam game it was, though. But it kind of gives somewhat of a reason as to why he became the way he did in Char's Counterattack to some degree.
Yeah, I always was under the impression that what made him flip his shit. Because I feel like he really liked legit like.
Yeah, your mic's cutting out again.
I'm sorry. I feel like Char legitimately liked Camille.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in my opinion, there's characters who he legitimately... So, Lala. And some people who he was able to accept. I feel like he was ultimately able to accept Amuro in Zeta.
Mm-hmm.
But then that bitterness came back. I feel like that bitterness came back to Camille. And because, Amuro is associated with that bitterness, of course. But I don't know. Oh, I still think this is a good theme.
Mm-hmm.
I posted in the chat.
Okay, let me throw it up. The main title.
I also achieved something I really wanted to achieve in Blue Fantasy.
Mm-hmm. Let me lower the volume a little bit. Now, I guess like a couple other things that we can probably talk about before we wrap up the stream. What would you say would be the quote-unquote end point for someone who's engrossed in the mecha?
What do you mean?
So, if they've been watching mecha for quite a bit of time, what would you say would be like the definitive point where you would say someone is established to have enough knowledge to talk about it? Or something along the lines of that. Like to actually give a lot of analyses or just have general conversations about some things that may not have been in the mainstream, but just enough to show that you have a lot more knowledge about the genre in general. In my opinion, the end point of probably being a Mecha fan would also kind of having a strong appreciation for a lot of other things that incorporate the identity of Mecha into different genres. Seeing how they've been creatively used to convey a story or convey the actions that Mecha has been kind of known for, and you can kind of pick out and follow and appreciate like certain designs from certain mechanical designers, and there's a lot of other things that you can really pinpoint as long as you do a bit of the research and have a lot of greater, stronger understanding of the genre itself, almost to the point where you pay attention to like the people that have participated in the industry for so long, even like dating well before Gundam even was a major hit. You got to see how like people like Katoki or Obari and maybe some newcomers too that are into the mecha genre that have blossomed over the years, and see how their designs kind of evolved. Just mostly paying attention to more of the meta level on that regard. Because you could probably talk to someone maybe like MD Chaos or D12 283, I think that's his username. Well, mostly MD Chaos. If you talk to him about like mecha designers, he would give you a good rundown of who are like the top of the top and who are. Yeah.
Play that one. I'll put it in the chat, by the way.
Okay.
But yeah, one of my favorite artists as far as mecha is concerned is Hidetaka Senju.
And I guess another thing that we could probably also talk about. Would you say it would be a good idea to have those that are relatively new to Mecha try to find like something that is equivalent to what they are? No, wait. Let me rephrase that. But I guess the question boils down to: would it be a good idea to have newcomers try to find something that is similar to their favorite anime outside of Mecha? And if so, is it possible?
Oh, give me a second.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Ask me that question again.
Okay. The question was, would it be a good idea to have newcomers try to find a mecha series that is close to their favorite anime? So, say if someone is like a huge fan of, say, Konosuba, for example, would it be a good idea to try and find something that matches that level of comedy or that level of rhythm, so to speak, that could be found in the mecha?
That might be hard, depending on. That might be pretty hard, actually.
Mm-hmm. Because I could
Something silly.
like I would probably
I think of silly when it comes to would be something.
wait. What?
Let's
Just
go again.
mm-hmm. I guess we could also probably like
Maybe even.
I was thinking of like the irresponsible Captain Tyler. That might be another one. Even though that's not legitimately mecha, but it might have some elements of it.
It's sci-fi. It's sci-fi.
Yeah.
It's mecha. It's enough. I would. It's enough. If they can consider Cowboy Bebop, consider the irresponsible captain. Irresponsible Captain Tyler was very.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see what. Yeah, definitely. Mm-hmm.
And I guess the last question before we call it a night. What would you say would be a guilty pleasure of the genre that you could introduce to someone? If you do believe in the concept of a guilty pleasure mecha anime. Because I have mine.
Guilty pleasure. Is it silly? Is it silly or just bad?
Either or.
I guess.
Yeah, either or. Because I'll tell you mine afterwards.
Yeah, probably go there. Silly.
Oh, go Danner?
It's serious. It's serious but silly.
Mm-hmm. And I guess you know me well enough to know what answer I'm gonna say.
Oh boy, couldn't say.
Cross Ange.
Huh?
Cross Ange.
One more time.
Cross Ange.
Oh.
I've watched that show more than once at this point, and it never gets old.
Funny? If I'm not mistaken, I think Cross actually has a weapon for core.
Mm-hmm. In fact, there was like one episode when I was doing like a live tweeting of Cross Ange. There was one episode where there was like a bunch of seed weapons and armaments too. You see like the Stray Shield, Freedoms, or Strike Freedoms beam rifle.
I believe it's a Stray Shield.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe the armored core weapon that's there is the Carousel.
Oh, I didn't know there was an armored core. Well, wait, let me.
Pretty sure it's the Carousel.
Yeah, let me bring it up.
The Carousel, while you're bringing it up, the Carousel, by the way, so I can describe it, the Carousel was one of the weapons that you'll see in most of the Armored Core games. It is in first, second, third generation before it appears as purpose. The Carousel, or Kurosawa, is a very strong energy weapon. In early iterations of the game, it has 50, but 50 shots is more than to take out. Way more. I'm talking, this damn thing hit so hard that even if you were built for energy resistance, it's still hit hard. Your energy resistance was not up to snuff.
Yep.
It was very, very heavy. Tanks could not use it because of its size. It was just too big. Portion of the gun was too big.
Yep, here we go. Here's the thing I brought up. It's on the stream now.
Alright, so that's a seed, that's the Stray Shield. Looks at the Dragoons in the back. Pistol, the rifle. And then there's the Gundam. That can't be the only shot. I know there was another shot that had a weapon that looked like it was. Could have sworn.
Yeah, there's a shot rifle as well.
But I'm not surprised that that's there, because taking people that did. They also did do stuff for seed.
Mm-hmm. Hell, even one of the hotels is called the Hotel Muvlaflaga. That's definitely blatant there.
I don't know. I may be misremembering, but I know that the Carousel did appear in anime. I thought it was either Cross Ange or it might have been even. I'm pretty sure even Gelly.
Like the rebuilds or
that's the RX-78.
And I also see the cannon that Buster Gundam uses. I think that might be the same cannon that Buster Gundam uses.
It might be, yeah, it might. But then again, it looks like it's missing the. It looks as that it's a.
Okay. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it for tonight at this point. We pretty much burned through a good amount of oh wait. I just now remember something. Another pitfall that I do suggest avoiding would be Out Noah Zero.
Why? I didn't see that one. Why?
Well, I believe it had a bit of potential at first, but the MC doesn't seem all that interesting. The mech designs, aside from the enemy cataphracts, were interesting, but everything else just seemed, well, I would say it had its highs and lows here and there, but just not enough in order to keep me completely invested. It's been a while since I last watched the show, so I can't really formulate a good opinion of it, but there's something about it that I do remember that kind of bothers me every time it gets mentioned.
Buyer Land Custom
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting suits in Twilight Axis. There was the Tristan, which was supposed to be the next step of the Alex. There was also what other suit? I forgot.
Yeah, but isn't if I'm not mistaken, the Alex is what led
Wait, what'd you say?
I thought the Alex was what led to the new guy.
I think that's what it is, but I guess they had like a derivative model just to have a bit of a extra test run, or I honestly don't know the story behind the Tristan. It might have been like a sister suit for something else. Because it did use some sort of mobile armor by the end of Twilight Axis. Yeah, Twilight Axis is after the events of Char's counterattack. The first song we played.
The very first song, guys. AC.
I think it was Shape Memory.
Memory Alloys.
Yeah, I'll post it in the chat. Oh, it's before Char's counterattack.
Pretty sure the first thing I played was from Shape Memory.
Deals with the prototype of Sazabi. Oh, okay.
No.
Wait.
The first thing I played was the game. That's from Last Raven.
Oh, okay. Let's get a quick in the ball with this one so we can post it in the chat. Now, I guess with the small animated shorts of Twilight Axis, it kind of functioned more of like an advertisement for the book rather than just a full-fledged series. I guess that's what kind of pissed a few people off about it in general. But I thought it was after Char's counterattack. Because why else would we be seeing the remains of the Sazabi somewhere on some random asteroid field? I could be wrong about that. Perhaps Moon Gundam is the one that has the prototype Sazabi with the Varghul. But even then, that's its own set of issues.
But yeah, the theme I played that from Armored Core game, that one actually changes as the one changes. It's pretty interesting. There's a lot of good music across the intro, Armored Core 2, is probably a favorite orbital. Fight scene 3 actually yeah, you should post that if I could request that, Blue. The intro to Armored Core 3 is actually pretty cool.
Okay, let me pull it up.
Armored Core 3 intro is pretty cool. There's so many.
Alright, let me get this.
Like, I really hope that... No, that's Silent Night, the other one for 3.
Oh. Okay, just a regular
the
3.
intro for Silent Night isn't bad either. Yeah, actually, don't play this one. This one's fine. This one's actually
Okay.
play it anyway. Play it anyway. This was good too. They even tell you what's going on too, so you can tell. But there were certain things that were introduced as well inside of it was new. It wasn't that powerful, but it was some kind of introduced. The whole point here of Silent Line, the titular name, the Silent Line, is that for some reason, if anybody tries to go past a certain point and they cross that line, you see, there happens. That's what happens. You get picked off.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually one of the stages too, where you're tasked with crossing the Silent Line, and you have to basically do a bunch of stuff while those lasers are coming down. Yes, Armored Core actually has some pretty sick intros actually.
Oh yeah.
Leave the setting.
I gotta tell you, FromSoft was definitely on something when they made these games. And they were really on some good shit. Especially when it comes to these intros.
The Carousel Stealth.
Mm-hmm.
OP. Yeah, their intro, and the thing is, their intros only got better. Like
Yep.
the intro for part 1 was kind of, but then the intro for intro for 2, like you can tell, like they got significantly better. Like the intro for 1 was okay, but the intro for 2 was cool. The intro for 3 was great. I think 3 was probably the best one.
Mm-hmm. Alright, this is it.
As far as graphically impressive, intro for Last Raven was, and then so was the one for Answer, if only because it's just a takeoff sequence, which is still one of the sexiest robots ever.
Yep. A white glint.
And the thing is, as cool as that, this intro also shows a new thing. I believe they showed a couple of things that were. Because I know that Armored Core 3 was basically, even though I believe people still consider it to be second gen.
Mm-hmm. Wait. Armored Core had weapons like that?
Yep, those were in Armored Core 2. They added overboost.
Mm-hmm.
And then some cores you have overboost, or you have the I forgot what they were called. I don't know if they were called over weapons, but it was basically you could either choose from either having overboost or having that weapon. They were mostly either energy or solid. I believe in Armored Core 3 they added solids.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can do the energy ones which slowly revert. So that was actually good. And that was a feature that you can drop stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Once things ran out, you can drop them, and they would actually make it faster. In 4, it made a bigger difference than in 3. All they really did was bit faster.
Mm-hmm.
Or it also threw off your balance, but it also did affect your stats.
Right.
So you dropped off the parts, it would make you a bit faster because you're carrying a less of a load. It would also help with your energy consumption.
All right. I guess I'll call it a night here.
Like I said, I'm really hoping. Like we talked about this last week, so I do hope. I think I would really appreciate it if From Software.
Yep, we just gotta hope for the best.
Really hope it.
So, any ideas on what you want to talk about in the next time, or I'll probably just give it a little bit of a break and see what we can come up with.
We'll just talk about. We'll figure that out in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Just think about it. We'll see what.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching. Hope you have a wonderful night, day, and
we went at it for like 3 hours, bro.
yeah, roughly 3 hours. Most of it was just kind of dicking around, and just if Discord didn't shut down for some apparent reason, which seems to be happening to everybody, we probably have a better flow than this. But all in all, we did pretty good. Didn't have too many audio hiccups here and there, and just actually got something going pretty well.
Alright, so that's a good one. Thanks for dropping by, everybody.
And if anyone actually has any questions about like what kind of mecha genres or just mecha in general, you pretty much know who to go to. But if you're kind of looking for people, you could
lives.
Yep, it does. It really does.
Guys.
It really does, because I can tell you right now, there was like a point in my life where I was really, really. You could pretty much put me as like the angsty teenager that would most likely pilot a robot, but because of giant robots, because of the mecha genre itself, it kind of rekindled a fire that I never knew existed in me. That without it, I probably wouldn't be having these kind of conversations. I probably wouldn't even met you. I probably would have been just reserved into my house and just shut in for who knows how long. But hey, when you have the opportunity to become a super robot, anything becomes possible. That's why. Yep. Hard work, guts, courage, and a bit of soul. And get a raise as well. We can't miss that.
Man.
Yeah. But yeah, Mecha really does save lives. Mecha does also kind of give you an idea of how anime came to be, because Mecha is in the DNA of all anime. No matter which way you shake it, it's still one of the pioneers of anime itself. You can't really deny that. It's everywhere. And the people that worked in Mecha are everywhere. But I guess the main thing before I do actually legit sign off, I guess one final question. What can we do in order to educate people to prevent any further misinformation about the genre itself? Because that might be.
What is it? So say again?
The question?
No. What were you saying?
Oh, I was about to say. I kind of lost my train of thought, but you can keep going.
You kind of cut off. What happened?
I guess I was just mostly focusing on the problem of like misinformation, like people giving like uninformed approaches or takes to the genre itself, it usually ends up like with I think I talked about this to MD Chaos, that there are some people, whenever like say a big anti-tuber talks about Mecha, and sometimes they really do not know what they're talking about, someone does come out the woodwork and just absolutely trashes on them, and just at the same breath shills for whatever series that they like or just want people to watch. But what would be the best way in order to kind of hamper on that misinformation, just to get people more educated into it?
I think the best way to miss it,
Mecha is dying.
is to say, hey, look, that's not how it works. You tell them, no, that's wrong. You tell them while they're wrong, and just like the guy did, shill an example. I think that is the proper. Be polite. Tell them no, you're wrong. Tell them why they're wrong, and then give them it. And then basically, no, Mecha accepts all.
Mm-hmm.
As long as you have hot blood.
I guess the one thing I could probably say is that, just educate them on why they're wrong, if they're not willing to learn that point, or if they're kind of hard-headed. Then just kind of softball them a little bit. But I wouldn't like outright shill something, but I would just give them like some small examples or like small sample episodes that they could just look at. Just have them look at like, say, 3 episodes of a certain anime and just kind of work them through it pretty much. Otherwise, it's pretty much the adage of you can lead a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink.
No, I think we'll be. The only thing I'm really hoping for is that
I'll register that as a new
I think
course
right
on the list.
now, I think Gundam needs a wing. For the lack of a better term, I think Gundam.
Wait, it needs a.
Even though the Gundam franchise is big and it has a lot of good content,
Mm-hmm.
I ultimately feel that Gundam should not have to bear the burden. I think Gundam needs a win. We need one other series to and have its bag, because Macross is going to be hard to get out here because of
Harmony Gold.
That's really where we're at right now.
Yeah.
Gundam needs a wingman. We need to have one other series that people can't just dismiss Mecha. Be like, oh, it's just Gundam.
Yep. Or Transformers. That's another one that's usually gets thrown around. Yeah, someone learned from fighting games that people love to talk about. Yep, exactly. Mashu Obama said it's the same thing. When it came to what a Vroom Vroom Sword said, something that I learned from fighting games that people love to talk about what they don't know about. So you see that more commonly like Guilty Gear, for some apparent reason. Mashu Obama made a comment about that, about how most people. The people that talk about Guilty Gear the most are the ones that tend to not play the game itself. And they say that they're usually like the lore monsters or people that have like watched the game from a distance but never really get their hands on it. And
I think lore monsters are. I like it. I like lore monsters.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy on YouTube who makes a lore videos. Kakarot 197.
Yeah.
I think it's either 197 or 187. He makes a bunch of lore videos.
Yep.
Then there's this other guy. I think his name is Professor Otaku. He did a couple of Gundam videos. Hasn't made many now, but he was actually doing a document where he's going through the entire UC time, and he's also going through the years, through the decade. Mecha, that's actually pretty cool. So that's actually those are a good, actually.
Mm-hmm.
No, excuse me, a good view.
Because Guilty Gear is pretty well, at the same time Guilty Gear was pretty damn niche before. Well, it still is pretty niche, just not as obscure as say Street Fighter in comparison, because no one probably heard of Guilty Gear up until Xrd, And the people that did actually play the Guilty Gear series probably came in from like X or X2. So that can vary. But the one constant thing is that you'll always have people that pay attention to what goes on in the story of the game, but try to give opinions on the game balance itself, which could be a completely different beast itself. But I guess if we're going into like a comparison with the mega genre in general, there are some people that kind of look from the outside in and try to have opinions that don't really mesh well because of the lack of knowledge that they have for the genre itself. Maybe they're trying to put it in the same context as their own favorite genres, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to get your feet wet. You're going to have to watch at least a few different series before making an informed opinion. There's nothing wrong with having no opinion whatsoever, especially if you're relatively new to something. I think you said it best, Denso, that sometimes the best thing to do is not say anything at all if you don't know anything.
Mm-hmm. It's basically the first rule of when you join a channel or a Discord channel or a forum.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking lurk.
Yep.
That's it. Just lurk. It's fine.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with lurking.
Important rules, and just one of the most important rules in 4chan, bro. Lurk more.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. Lurk. Lurk. Get an idea. Then you have to ask a question. Otherwise, murk lore. That's it. Nothing wrong with lurking.
Nope.
Totally helpful.
But yeah, that's one thing I also want to kind of get off my chest before actually shutting down. Because nothing will ever be even more infuriating than just hear the typical, what's the usual thing that comes around?
What we should do is this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a need, because I think the mecha genre, anytime someone who doesn't know shit about steps out of line, there's always going to be somebody out there who the fuck you're talking about, and they're going to step in, and so I don't think we really have. The only thing we should really be worried, the only thing we should concern ourselves, we do get somebody who doesn't come down like we're supposed to, say, hey, I'm over here.
What, you're breaking up a little bit?
Huh?
You're breaking up a little bit.
Just come on over, enjoy the. Just come on over, come enjoy the jump. That's it.
Yeah.
Ultimately, they don't know what they're talking about. They're gonna get dealt. They're gonna get dealt with. You'll be able to get to what matters you want, which is for you to enjoy the.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least that's how I'm with. If anybody the genre, then that's something, especially for like, say, core. I'll do everything to get people. God forbid if From Software turns around, releases all the ESN, have them on the spot. Like, I'm gonna make space on immediately.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be like, yo, Armored Core just got released. We're going through them. Bad control, controls that take some getting used to, or not. But yeah, kind of covered.
Yeah. So,
place.
Yeah.
The way they did for me to get.
Shit out.
Wait,
what'd you say? Okay, now
He
you're.
was in a better. I just kind of wish Mecha was in a better spot now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, really. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hop off. Good talking to y'all, fellas. Y'all have a good.
All right, man. Take care. And take care, everybody. Ooh, need to lower the volume on that. But, yeah. We'll try to find something else to talk about next time. Hopefully something... Or actually, here's an idea. If anybody has any topics that you want us to talk about, then by all means, just reach out to me. My @ is at BlueShift09 on Twitter, or at Densuo, DENSUO. That's his Twitter as well. And if you got anything that you want us to talk about, then we'll do it. So, until then, peace out.